In this video essay, I'm going to talk about the 12 basic principles of animations, which is introduced by two Disney animators, Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas in the book The Illusion of Live Disney Animation. The purpose of creating those 12 principles is because they want to produce more realistic animation, and those are squash and scratch, anticipation, staging, straight ahead action and pose to pose, follow through and overlapping actions, slow in and slow out, art, secondary action, timing, exaggeration, solo drawing, and appeal. In squash and scratch, it is a principle to apply a contrasting change of shape. It can show the weight, texture, and the flexibility of the object, which can help the animation look more realistic. This is the bouncing ball animation that I did. We can see the squash and scratch in it. The second principle is anticipation. This principle is mainly for the audience to anticipate what is the next action of the character, and it helps people to predict the next step. For example, a runner starts to run has to do the crouch start position first. Johnston and Thomas define that the staging principle is the presentation of any idea, so that is complete and unmistakably clear. It can be used to guide the audience to focus on the things that the animators want them to focus. Straight ahead action and pose to pose are two different methods for animate. Pose to pose is generally a good method for most of the action, as it can give you the idea of what it looks like in the very early process. It helps to reduce the opportunities of error. The straight ahead action is good for animating something unpredictable, for example, fire. And this is the character jumping over a gap and landing animation that I did, and I have used the method of pose to pose to animate it. The next principle is follow-through and overlapping action. This principle is about the movement of our body parts and the appendages behind our whole body after the character body has stopped moving. When the main body of the character is moving, the appendages will be catch up the movement later, and they will move the farthest in the same direction as the main body moved before and they come back. Because of physics, things will not come to stop all at once. Let's move on to the slow in and slow out principle. Based on the law of physics, when the object moving is always need time to accelerate and slow down at the extreme poses, for example running. The seventh principle is art. From most of the natural action, we can see the principle of art, as we usually will not move like a straight line. For example, when we throw a ball, we can see that there are a parabola of the position of the ball. This is the trailing head animation that I did. We can see the art when the character moving his head. Secondary action is the principle that's to support the main action, in the conditional of not taking away the attention from the main action. We can always see the principle of the action, for example, walking. The timing principle is about flames of the action. It always follows the law of physics. For example, if the objects are healthy, the flames of its action will be longer as it always moves slowly. The next animation principle is exaggeration. It is the way to increase the amount of impact of the viewer, as it can let the audience more easily to understand animation. It can make the ideas of the action more apparent and realistic and convince the audience. The principle of solo drawing is meant to make the forms like in the three-dimensional space. It has to consider the volume, weight, and the balance of the object. It's always used to 2D animation. The last principle is appeal. This principle is about when we create a character for our animation, it should have some kind of charming aspects to be appealing. The appealing is not just only for the just character in the animation, but also every other character should have their own charm. Besides, it doesn't just mean good looking of the character, but also interesting. These are the 12 basic principles of animation. Those principles are very important as it can help animators to create better animation and make their animation look more realistic. Thanks for watching.